What's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about how to sell without being salesy in your real estate business. This is one of the top things that I hear from so many real estate agents, so many real estate professionals, and also team leaders and broker owners that are maybe more in a recruiting role. But I hear it from, it doesn't matter what level that you're at. I hear this almost on a daily basis of like, look, I know I'm in a sales business. I know I got to go out there and sell, but I just don't want to be that salesy, slimy, douchey person, and I get it. I don't want to be either. But here is the good news. Is nobody else wants you to be that person either. The consumer doesn't want you to be that person. Other realtors, it doesn't matter if you're going for buyers, sellers, realtors. So if you're recruiting, regardless of what level that you're at, nobody else wants you to be that person either. So that is the good news. And there is a reason why you're feeling that way. Because, like I'm guessing for you, it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like you feel uncomfortable doing it because you hate when it's done to you, when you're being hard sold, hard pressured, whatever those bad, nasty sales situations, you hate when it's done to you. So no wonder you don't want to do it to others and feel comfortable, like just how we're all wired, right? The saying out there, right, is treat others how you want to be treated, right? So today I want to walk you through, how to go out there and do this. Because again, this is not a bad thing. This is not a negative thing. This is a great thing that you feel this way. And again, you should not go out there and hard sell. Maybe that shit worked back, when. But today it is the most ineffective way to go out there and sell. If you just look at people today, people are more sensitive and easily triggered than any other time in any of our lifetimes. So the second somebody feels as if they're being hard sold, initiates the croc portion of the brain, they go into fight or flight mode, and they're looking to do just that. They're looking to fight you or flight. That's where you get the getting screamed at on the phone or getting the hangups. That's where people shut down. All that rapport is broken. It's just a very, very ineffective way to go out there and sell. So I got 6 different things I want to walk you through, 6 different steps, 6 different tips, if you will, that I want to walk you through on how to sell at a very effective high level inside your real estate business with never being salesy, making it about people, making it about serving and supporting people at the highest level with your clients, but never being salesy, and go out there and crush it inside your real estate business. But before I jump into these 6 steps, make sure to check out gsdmode.com for more additional free resources, more additional free training. And on there, you can schedule a 100% free Zoom strategy coaching call with me personally, where we can break down where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals are, what your biggest obstacles are, what your strengths, weaknesses are, current situation is. And based on all that information, I'm going to walk you through what my best recommended strategy is to get you exactly from where you're at to where you want to go. So it's a 100% free 60-minute long Zoom coaching call with me personally, 0 strings attached. Something you want to take advantage of, you can do that at gsdmode.com. Again, there's other additional free trainings on there, free resources, so I highly encourage you to check it out. Okay, so let's go into tip number 1, which is just understanding human behavior and human psychology. Look, I know we're in the sales business, we're in the sales industry. And look, I study sales and I've read a lot of sales books and taken a lot of sales courses, but I have learned so much more by studying human behavior and human psychology. Books like Influence by Robert Cialdini, Influence and Pre-Persuasion. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Robert Cialdini. Books like that were just, and not the same. I mean, I actually would encourage you to go out there and read those books, Influence and Pre-Persuasion. But I've learned so much more about selling, at least in our industry. I'm not going to speak to other industries. I'm just going to speak to ours in real estate, because real estate is a unique product that we are selling. Meaning that we actually aren't selling a product. People are already sold on the fact that they want to buy or sell real estate. Or if you're a team leader, brokerage owner, and your job is to go out there and recruit agents, they're already sold on the fact that they want a career in real estate. So I'm not having to go out there and sell, people on the fact of buying real estate. I mean, it's the American dream, dude. Everybody already wants it. So what am I actually selling? What am I actually doing? What I'm actually doing is convincing people that I'm the best guide to get them from their current living situation to the living situation that they want to go to. Or if it comes to agent recruiting, all I'm doing is showing them and articulating and demonstrating that, hey, I've got the best overall environment to get them from where they're at to where they want to go. The best training, the best coaching, the best support, the best systems. So it's the same thing there. So it's one of the things where, hey, look, I've never sold anything but real estate. I guess health club memberships, but like I've never sold watches or high-end jewelry, or so sales in those industries might be a little bit different than sales for us. Great thing about what we're doing is people already. I'm going to keep this more specific on real estate, so buyers, sellers, and whatnot here for the rest of this podcast. But it all applies if you're in a role where you are recruiting agents. All the same shit applies. It's all the same process. But again, people already sold in the fact they want to buy and sell real estate. So the more that we understand human behavior, what people want, how they operate, the more success that we're able to have with this. And as I stated at the kind of the intro of this podcast, is if we look at people today and behavior today, like I said earlier, people are more easily triggered and more sensitive than any other time in our lifetimes. So when people feel as if they're being sold, and this is really important to know, this is why I'm being repetitive with this. So when people feel as if they're being sold, triggers the croc portion of the brain, they go into fight or flight mode and they shut down. That's where you get all that hardcore sales resistance. We do not want that, right? So the golden rule is treat others how they want to be treated. Treat others how you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others how they want to be treated. Like you want to crush it in business and in sales and real estate, you abide by the platinum rule, not the golden rule, right? Golden rule is important, but abide by that platinum rule. Treat others how they want to be treated. So, okay, if we know that people don't want to be sold, so when I talk about understanding human behavior, okay, what is that people want? Look, they want the information that they want and need to make their best informed decision, but they want to do that in a non-pushy, non-pressure, safe overall environment. So just give them that. So just think about that. I want you to just write this down and print this in your mind. What the consumer today wants is they want the information that they want and need to make their best overall informed decision, but they want to do that in a non-pushy, non-pressure, safe overall environment. So the more that we give people what they want, when we give people what they need, so like when I'm setting a buyer consultation, I'll go through and talk about, sell the value of the buyer consultation, what they're going to learn in the buyer consultation, why it's of value to them. But then I make sure to insert, language that speaks to what I know that they want. Hey, just so you know, the sole purpose of this meeting is to provide you with all the information that you need to make the best informed decision for yourself and for your family, regardless of what that decision is. Look, at the end of this meeting, you may decide that, hey, maybe homeownership isn't for you, maybe not now, maybe not never. And if that's your decision, that's okay. Hey, you may decide that homeownership is for you. Just now isn't the time, and that's okay too. Hey, you may even decide that homeownership is for you, now is the time, but maybe you just don't feel comfortable with using me as your real estate agent. That's okay too. Like I said, the sole purpose of this meeting is to provide you with all the information that you need to make your best informed decision for yourself and for your family. Does that sound fair? Right? So I'm going to make sure to make people feel comfortable and give them what they want. So number one is understanding human behavior and what people want, which we just talked about. Okay, number two. This is something I do a lot with my agents, have my agents do, but visualize. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to visualize the most important person in your life. So to give some context to this, I was talking with an agent of mine not too long ago, maybe about a year or so ago, and they're hitting all these different, obstacles, all this different, they're getting all these different objections, right? And they're like, reaching out to me to do all these objection handlers. And, but very quickly I realized what the issue was is they weren't doing the things that we're talking about here today. So then I said to them, I'm like, okay, I knew they had a daughter. And their daughter was in their 20s, blink of an eye, that daughter will be, getting her dream job and then going out there and getting her dream house. So what I said to, this particular agent was, okay, let's just visualize that your daughter's in the position of life, gets her dream job, and now she's in the position where she wants to go out there and buy her first home. But let's just pretend she's in a state, area, location, country where you are not there, where you can't go out there and help her. Maybe also, let's just pretend for this exercise that you don't know any realtors there to refer to her, to help her out. So then, okay, now I want you to visualize and pretend that your daughter, most important person to you in your life, in your world, is opted in as a lead in some random realtor's database. How do you want that realtor to reach out to her? How do you want them to talk to her? How do you want, and she's a lead, became a lead, so the inception of a lead all the way through the whole process to become a client all the way through. How must that whole entire process go? So to the point, daughter closes on her house, you go out, fly out, visit her, to celebrate, her closing on her first home. But then while you're in town, you're like, hey, before I leave, I got to go shake the hand of your realtor and just thank them for taking such amazing care of the most important human being to me in my life. I'm like, how must that, I want you to really think about this. How much this whole process go, for that to happen? And then what would be the opposite? Where you want to go out there and just strangle the hell out of them, right? And then I said to him, okay, every lead, I want you to now pretend is your daughter. Because leads aren't just leads. They're not numbers. This isn't just, this is a random lead that I got to reach out to try to set an appointment. It's not just a digit on a tracker. And I get it. Like, we have to have vocabulary, inside of our business, leads, clients, under contracts, and trackers. There's numbers on track. I get all of that. But what I'm saying is, okay, these aren't just leads. These are human beings. These are somebody's daughter, somebody's son, somebody's mother, somebody's father, somebody's grandparent. Right? So just treat them that way and the more that you can visualize and understand that these are real human beings, they are somebody's son, somebody's daughter, they have real fears, real concerns, real problems. God does not select, problems for just a select few human beings that, like, people are going, this is why I don't take things personally. I get on the phone following up with somebody and maybe they, go off on me, whatever. Like, how do I know that they just didn't find out their spouse, had something bad going on, or just don't judge this stuff, but just think about this. The more that you think about this, the more that you understand that these are real human beings with real problems, real fears, real concerns, like just the more empathy, compassion, all of that you're going to reach out to them with. I just find it to be very, very powerful. Okay, tip number 3 is to institute a very strict no pressure policy. This goes along with item number 1, with understanding human behavior, but people do not want to be pushed. They do not want to be pressured. So you got to abide by that and operate that. And I'm not saying to not go out there and close them. Look, I go in for the buyer broker. I go in for the listing agreement. I go in for the, agent recruitment, whatever, once we're pitched and once we're at that point. So I'm not saying to not move the forward process. No, you got to be the leader and move the forward process, but there's a way of doing it without being a hard salesy in their face and pushing people to do something they don't feel comfortable doing. So with the no pressure policy, and this is something that I make sure to communicate from first conversation all the way throughout the whole experience, where again, I'm just letting people know from that first conversation, hey, just so you know, I've got a very strict absolute no pressure policy. So with me, you never have to worry about being pushed, pressured, hard sold. I hate it when I'm in a sales situation, somebody's trying to hard sell me. So I just want you to know, want you to understand, you never have to deal with that with me. I'm just here to be a resource and serve, support, and help you with any of your real estate needs in any way that I possibly can. So whatever it is that you need, real estate related or not, I'm just here to be a resource in any way I possibly can. Yes, I'm just letting them know that. Now, it might take 3, 4, 5 conversations with you reminding them this no pressure policy, but eventually they're going to be like, hey, this person keeps saying this, but after our 6th experience, our 6th conversation together, they've never pressured me. So now they start feeling comfortable. And then now they're agreeing to the appointment with you. They're agreeing to all of this stuff with you. Okay, so institute that no pressure policy. That is hands down the best USP I've ever implemented. And I've had a lot of them, like your home sold guarantee, we buy it. And people in my market or other agents will think that those are like game changing. Nope. The game changer has been the no pressure policy. Okay, so tip number 4 is learn pre-framing. So pre-framing is, okay, before you open up to any conversation, the pre-framing allows for an effective conversation. So whether you're using scripts, no scripts, whatever, you want to make sure that you are pre-framing every conversation. Now, you've all pre-framed. At some point in your life, maybe you don't have awareness of it, but let's just say like you got a loved one, friend, family member, somebody that matters to you, that's important to you, and they're, I don't know, doing some destructive behaviors in their life. Maybe they're drinking too much, partying too much, doing some stupid shit that you like, oh, dude, I need to sit down and kind of have a heart-to-heart with them because you care about them. Yeah, right? And you're doing it with their best interest because you care about them. You're kind of intervening, right? But then you're thinking about, because you know that if you don't handle this delicately, boom, this thing could blow up and you could have a big blowout and be against each other. And no, you're like, hey, you want to be together, not against, right? So then you probably start thinking, okay, well, what would be the best situation to bring this up? What is the best way to bring this up where they know my intentions, to know that, I'm here, I'm with them and I'm here for them and I'm doing this for them and their best interests and because I care about them, where they don't feel like they're being attacked. Like, you're thinking this thing through. That's just a form of pre-framing. So here, when I'm talking about pre-framing when it comes to real estate, okay, we talked about earlier, people go into fight or flight mode the second that they think that they're being sold, and that's where they try to fight you or try to flight you, right? Or try to flight or fight, right? So the whole point of pre-framing is to keep them out of getting triggered, keep them out of sales resistance, keep them out of fight or flight mode. So let's just say, I'll give an example here. Let's just say it's a buyer lead. What do buyers always say? Oh, I'm just browsing. Or like these online buyer leads. I'm just browsing. So part of pre-framing is mirroring. So, okay, I will mirror their language before they even say it, because I know that the objective of every initial conversation is to identify their goal, identify their timeline, set the appointment if able or appropriate. And if unable or appropriate, then because I know their goal and timeline, okay, now I know how to follow up accordingly to maximize conversions for if and when they're ready. So then, okay, so how I find that information out and how I'll pre-frame with a buyer lead, or especially an online buyer lead, is something like this. Hey, I know you're probably just browsing, not looking to make a move now or anytime at all in the future. Or, hey, I know you're just browsing, not looking to make a move now or anytime at all in the near future. So just hypothetically speaking, if you were to, make a possible move in the future, what would you say your best guesstimate to when that time frame might possibly be? 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Again, just hypothetically speaking, what would you say your best guess to when that time frame might be? Right? I'm making them feel comfortable. I'm mirroring their language. I already know in their head, hey, I know you're probably just browsing, not looking to make a move now or anytime at all in the near future. So just hypothetically speaking, if you were to make a possible move in the future, what would you say your best guesstimate to when that time frame might possibly be? And then I insert multiple choice, right? So then from there, I'll use de-anchoring words. Like so many people are like, oh, anchor the sell, anchor the sell. And again, old school sales tactics that maybe worked back in the day, right? I just know they don't work and they're not effective today. So when I use words like possibly, not saying, oh, when would you be making a move? It's, so when do you think, you might possibly be making a move in the future, right? It de-anchors, everything here is to make them feel comfortable, because we not just want to make it where we don't sound like all these other realtors. We want to make it where we don't sound like any other sales experience that they've recently had, so we can keep a great, effective conversation. I always look at this of like, I just want to have a conversation with a stranger in the same way that, I want them to have that same comfort level if I was having a conversation with a neighbor or a good friend, right? So pre-framing is very, very, very effective. One I use for agent recruiting, one I use for a lot of sellers. When I reach out to them, it's, hey, hey, is this, let's just say, Susan, right? Hey, is this Susan? Yeah, this is Susan. Hey, Susan, this is just Joshua Smith here with EXP. Wanted to see if you could help me out with something really fast. And look, this is probably a shot in the dark, something you're probably not interested in. And if you're not, no worries at all. Just let me know. And again, no problem at all. But I just want to run it past you just in case it might be something that you might have some possible interest in. So I use that one a ton for agent recruiting, use it for FSBOs, use it for, calling divorces, use it for some other seller niches that I go after. Why is that so powerful? Right? So right out of the gate, I'm like, hey, this is probably just a shot in the dark. Now, what salesperson's like, hey, this is probably a shot in the dark, something you're not interested in. So, when you lead off, that leads curiosity. So, hey, this is probably a shot in the dark, something you're probably not interested in. And if you're not, no worries at all. Just let me know, and again, no problem at all. So what am I doing there? I'm giving them permission up front that it's okay to say no. Right? So then now when I get into the actual scripting, now I can get them to listen. They're not in fight or flight mode. They're not trying to shut me down. Look, you and we can have the same exact scripts and get two totally different results based on tonality, based on pre-frame. So tonality is not in one of my tips here. But if you go off tip number 2, if you visualize the most important person in your life, and you always kind of have that person in front of mind of how do you want somebody to speak to that person, that will kind of solve the tonality anyways, because you're not going to come off aggressive. You're not going to, so okay, tip number 4, pre-framing. Okay, then tip number 5 is focus on ongoing connection and rapport. So, okay, we got this initial call. I talked about this a moment ago. The objective of that initial conversation is to identify goal, identify timeline, set the appointment if able appropriate, if unable appropriate, because we know their goal and timeline. Now we know how to follow up accordingly to maximize conversions. Now, of course, I want to develop connection and rapport on that first engagement, but that's going to be a little bit challenging. Not saying that's challenging, but you're only going to be able to go so far with that, right? So the whole point of all that ongoing follow-up is to build and deepen that rapport and connection, and then reconfirm timeline, reconfirm goal, and set appointment if able and if and when appropriate and able. So how do I do that? where I take detailed notes in my CRM. And then I lead off. I don't jump into real estate out of the gate. I lead off about them. Hey, last time we talked, you went in for that knee surgery. I've been interested to, I'm just, wouldn't say interested, right? But hey, last time we spoke, you were just getting ready going for that knee surgery. I mean, how's it going? How are you feeling? Everything turned out okay? I'm taking detailed notes, what's going on for their, so instead of like, hey, how's the family? As soon as I possibly can, I'm listening to everything that they're saying. I'm putting notes in the CRM where I have their wife's name, their kids' names, all this stuff in there. So I'm always leading off with that, right? It's kind of like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you want to develop a deep connection rapport, man, you be interested, not interesting, right? People's number one most important favorite subject is themselves. The number one deepest desire of all human beings, every human being on the planet, whether you think this is true for you or not, it's the probability is much greater that it's true than not. The deepest desire of all human beings is the feeling of significance. Why is dogs, quote unquote, man's best friend? Because no matter how bad a day that you've had, whatever, you walk in that door, you are that dog's world. They're so excited to see you. Even if last time you saw them, you beat the crap out of them because they tore up your couch. They're so damn excited to see you. They make you just feel like the most significant thing in the world, right? So then from there, okay, how do you show people that they're significant to you? You pour into them. Right? You make them feel important. And you don't do this out of manipulation or deceit. I do not know about you, but the most important thing to me in my real estate business is my customers, clients, past clients, and potential customers. It's how I put food on the table for my family, right? So they are extremely important to us. So show them how important they are to you. People will not do business with you until they know how much you care. How do they know how much you care? Is that you show them that you truly give a shit about them, right? So focus on that connection, focus on that rapport. Okay, tip number 6 is to also focus on eliminating reasons why people would say no. So many people, when it comes to sales, are like, oh, it's all about getting the yes. And it is. It is about getting the yeses, right? However, I've always reverse engineered this where I can eliminate any reason as to why they would say no. The only thing left is a yes. So people don't want to meet for a certain reason or this is why I have certain USPs in my business, like my one-day listing agreement, because I knew, the seller, hey, man, they want to sell. Looks like they want to list with me, but man, they still have some fear about making a mistake. So how can I remove that fear, remove that mistake? So that's where I started my one-day listing agreement, which in the additional terms of the listing agreement states if after 24 hours of your home being listed on the MLS, if you wish to cancel this listing agreement, you may do so without any hassle, cost, or obligation. So I'm able to go in with them. Hey, here's all the things I'm going to do different than your last agent that let you down. Here's exactly what I'm going to do. And here's what I do to get my clients sold and what my game plan is to be successful at getting your home sold this time around. Right? So let's just say they're good to go on that. Well, I know there might be some fear there. So then now I tell them, hey, and also just so you know with me, you cannot make a mistake. So I explain my one-day listing agreement, and then I sit there and say, hey, at any point in time, if you don't feel I'm doing my job, if I'm not doing a better job than your past realtor, you feel that, I made a mistake, you want to cancel this listing agreement for any reason, you're able to do so at any time for any reason, without any hassle, cost, or obligation. You're the boss. I work for you. If I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I deserve to get fired. So really thinking about this of, okay, how can I eliminate all the different reasons that they would say no? So then the only thing left is a yes. And if you do that each stage of the funnel, the higher the probability is that you're going to continue to be able to lead the process all the way through because if we look at the overall sales funnel, you got activities exist to go out there and generate leads, right? Then leads exist to go out there and set appointments set exist to conduct them, conductions exist to get them to clients exist to get them under contract exists to then boom, spit out commission, now we got a past client, then it's repeat. That's the sales funnel, right? So if we look at, each one of the stages of the sales funnel, if I can eliminate any resistance points as to why they would say no, make them feel comfortable, right? To keep them moving forward and keep leading that process forward, right? It just makes it that much easier to flow and that much easier to continue to sell at a high level without having to be salesy. So here are my 6 tips for how to sell without being salesy and continue to crush it inside your real estate business. Hope you found this helpful. And if you are looking for a potential partnership with me, where we could potentially partner inside of our real estate businesses and go out there and crush it together, And just so you know, everything I do is 100% zero pressure. I just love the opportunity to be able to sit down with you and walk you through everything that we are doing, everything that we offer, all the superior technology, support, systems, training, coaching that you get access to with this partnership with me at EXP. We're all over the United States, all over Canada, 24 other countries. I don't care what level that you're at. And I would just say that, look, I would ask that you be open-minded just to explore the opportunity. Everything, as I said, everything I do is zero pressure. So I'm not going to hard sell you. I'm not going to push it. It's just, hey, we'll jump on a 30-minute Zoom call. Hey, here's what we got going on. Here's everything that we're doing. If you think it's a great fit for you and we can go out there and do some big things together, great. If not, that's okay too. I promise we can still be friends. Zero pressure with that. But if you want to explore what a partnership could look like with me, with us together at EXP, go to www.gsdmode.com/partner. www.gsdmode.com/partner. All right, guys, we will see you next time. Keep crushing it, and we'll talk to you then. Peace.